Yeah, and to us.
That's right.
Right?
Especially.
And to us. And that's amazing because that's where, I mean, you probably need to write a book on this, is the typology stuff applying to Joseph from the Old Testament, right? I mean, in a certain sense, he is a new Abraham. His children will be more numerous than the stars of the heavens. And even on some level, though we have to be careful, of course, with this one, he is a new Adam, not the new Adam, but he is a new Adam, because as our original, parents were husband and wife. Well,
yeah. If Mary's the new Eve, do the math. There really is a sense in which Jesus is obviously a new Adam too.
Right.
But inasmuch as Joseph is the father, there really is an Adamic vocation to recover what was lost by our first parents, who were also the first married couple. No, I don't think that this is competitive either. You can see how certain things apply to Jesus and Mary and the church, and it's not mutually exclusive. Personally, my two favorites are the Davidic typology, because that's how the angel addresses Joseph in Matthew 1. Joseph, son of David, even though his father's name is actually Jacob, but he's talking about the royal lineage and the fact that he stands as heir to the covenant oath that God gave to David regarding his son, that I will be his father and he will be my son and his throne will be everlasting, etc. But, as Pope Leo XIII points out, and you also point this out, in the Old Testament there is a man named Joseph, just like the New starts off that way. And likewise, he is the son of Jacob, later known as Israel, just as Joseph is the son of Jacob. He's described as a just man, just as St. Joseph is. He's also given dreams, just like St. Joseph. He also takes the Holy Family of Israel down to Egypt for provision and safety, just like St. Joseph does. He is misperceived as being unchaste in Genesis, just as the neighbors might have misperceived Joseph. You could go on, but ultimately there in Genesis 41:55, the Pharaoh himself says, "Ite ad Joseph," go to Joseph. He'll provide you with the bread and all of that. And that becomes the signal call. And, I think it's just so significant that, all of these elements are more than coincidences. These show us, we're scratching the surface, as you know. Joseph typology is, it's a door that has been barely opened.
Right. That's right.
It beckons.
It does. And I think there's probably hidden gems throughout the centuries that maybe haven't been translated by some obscure priest that was in Germany or somewhere that we're going to probably dig up at some point. But this is a field where you want to talk about people doing future doctorates.
Right.
This is phenomenal territory right now.
It sure is. Boy, I'm glad you said that, because I don't necessarily want more and more academics, but I want more and more study, prayerful scholarship that will really fructify the church. You also point out that it is late in coming in church history, that you see Bernard of Clairvaux in the 12th century. You say St. Bernardine of Siena as well. St. Teresa of Avila, in a certain sense, popularizes this, along with St. Francis de Sales. Who are some other notables that you have seen?
There's some big ones. One of my favorites is St. Lawrence of Brindisi.
Oh,
wow.
Doctor of the Church.
His stuff on St. Joseph is phenomenal. And hardly anybody knows about it.
Right.
I mean, the one book that I found was published in India by a press that, nobody over here is really aware of. And I was reading this and I'm like, holy moly, this is incredible stuff, right? But then you've got others. You've got St. Peter Julian Imard. I think you might have mentioned him. He is tremendous. Blessed William Joseph Chaminade.
Oh, yes.
He's one of the most quoted in the book.
Oh, I know.
Actually.
He probably is.
Yeah.
I was really surprised to see the depth of his insights.
Right? And he lived at a difficult time during the French Revolution, so he was kind of on the run from the authorities. And the only reason I discovered him was when I got my licentiate, I was doing a lot of research, living in stacks, right? Just going through books, And I discovered some of his stuff, and it wasn't even published. It was just in manuscripts that were just thrown into basically a binder.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is this? So I looked at some of his homilies on St. Joseph that he was giving as he was on the run from the authorities in France during the French Revolution. Blew me away. I was like, this is unbelievable stuff. And yet almost nobody knows about it. So those are some of the figures. But we've also got, outside of the pastoral aspect or the academic aspect, you've also got the apparitions, right? You've got that, and people are often surprised when they hear this, right? Yeah. Our Lady of Knock, wasn't just Our Lady.
Yeah. It's my favorite.
Fatima.
There were no words, and so it was easy to approve.
Classic St. Joseph, right? Fatima as well. You know, he's there blessing the world with the Christ child in his arms. But then you've also got that aspect of the, I guess you could call it maybe the devotional. So you've got Saint Andre Bessette, right? And you've got Blessed Petra of St. Joseph, which almost nobody knows about in Spain. She is phenomenal. You've got St. Jose Magnanet, another priest in Spain who is just off the charts in his devotion, founded a shrine to St. Joseph. They know about it in Spain, but we don't know about it over here. And this is where we've got to get the ball rolling on this. I mean, like you said, Spain has this great love for St. Joseph. And it's fascinating to me that it wasn't until, I think, 1950, I think it was, that the first Estudios Josefinos, the first theological journal on St. Joseph, went into circulation. 1950s.
It's amazing.
We're late in the game here.
Well, what happened 150 years ago that Pope Francis is pointing to and commemorating and advancing?
Yeah. So in 1870, a great pope, Blessed Pope Pius IX, who declared, the dogma of the Immaculate Conception, so many other wonderful things. He was being petitioned by a lot of people to declare St. Joseph the patron of the Universal Church. Mm-hmm. Well, there was a Dominican, blessed now, his name escapes you at the moment, but it's in the book. He offered his life base. He said, look, I will sacrifice myself, in a major way to see this through. The Pope was really impressed by that. And sure enough, on December 8th, and that's significant too, because it's not a competition.
Right.
St. Mary's, I guarantee you, she's so happy that it was on her day that her husband was proclaimed the patron of the Universal Church. She wasn't jealous, So he did that phenomenal gift to the church, making him the patron of the church. And it was 9 years later that St. Joseph came to knock, and Our Lady and our Lord depicted as a lamb, and St. John the Evangelist.
Right.